Oh, back to COVID-19 now, and Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine is the first in the U.S. to receive full approval from the Food and Drug Administration. Until yesterday, the shot was under emergency use authorization. It still hasn't been fully approved for children 12 to 15 years old, though. Nevertheless, health officials are hoping that yesterday's announcement will help convince more Americans to get vaccinated. So here to discuss all of this is Dr. Jessica Shepard. She is the Chief Medical Officer at Verywell Health. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Jessica. It's good to see you. What more can you tell us about the FDA granting full approval for the Pfizer vaccine? How does the agency make that determination?
Good morning, Anne-Marie. Good to see you as well. This is such a milestone when we think of the vaccination process. Now, when we think that this was under emergency authorization for so long, but yet we still have the science behind the vaccine that really allows us to understand that it actually does work, again, thwart away from COVID-19 virus. And what we're seeing now is that more than 1,000 people have died just this week, and over 95% of those have been unvaccinated. So this, again, is a milestone as we continue to battle the COVID-19 virus and the pandemic. We know that now that we have approval, this should help, again, with any vaccine hesitancy.
So the Pfizer vaccine is still under emergency use authorization for children 12 to 15 years old. Is there any indication that it may soon be granted full approval for that age bracket?
Now, there was a letter that was written last week by the American Association of Pediatrics, again, urging to get that authorization for the vaccine for those 12 through 15. However, the FDA has still stood strong as far as keeping that safety and effectiveness as far as passing that vaccine for children between the ages of 12 to 15. Now, they said that hopefully by the end of the year, probably by November, we will see that there's authorization for that age group.
The FDA is also putting out a bit of a warning about using the vaccine off-label in children younger than 12 years old. Can you explain to viewers what off-label means?
Now, when we think of on-label and on-label is exactly as you just said. It's something that the FDA has approved. Now, this is going with the studies and the research that goes behind authorization and even emergency use as well. Off-label is when you might have someone who utilizes a drug or a surgery or a device, knowing what it's for, what it's used for, but using it in a population for what it is not authorized to be used. So again, this is what we're seeing with many medications, even through the pandemic, that people were using on off-label use. And so that's what they're urging, is that this is, again, not going to happen when we think of the vaccine being used in those under the age of 12.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, I have had people say to me, ask me about my daughter who was under the age of 12 and whether or not I was going to get her vaccinated, because you know what? They won't ask you the age of your child, and basically suggesting that I could do that. So I think that's why the FDA has to make it very, very clear. Don't do this. There's an age limit for a reason, and when the time comes, it will be approved. What about skeptics who think that the FDA, rushed this approval? What would you say to them?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, because there are those on the other side who felt that the FDA took rather long. So again, I think in history we have seen people, have, skeptics against the government and the agencies and how they do their work. So the FDA was actually very careful, specifically with this vaccine, because it was actually under emergency use 3.5 months after the paperwork was turned in by Pfizer when the pandemic first started. So now that they have taken their time to actually have full approval of the vaccine, they are very firm and ready to say that they did this with the amount of time that was needed in order to go through the studies and the data that was done in preclinical and clinical studies.
So, this approval is one way that we are progressing in this country, but the Delta variant continues to make its way across the country within the unvaccinated population. And we're talking about kids. You're a doctor in Dallas, Texas. Cases have been on the rise in your state, and there are reports that pediatric ICUs are completely full. What more can you tell us about the situation there? And are you hopeful that things will be getting better now that at least one of the vaccines has full approval?
Yeah, this is something that hits home because as we start to see from children now filling ICUs, we know that this is very impactful. When we think of actual reported cases of SARS-CoV-19 virus since 2000, or sorry, June of 2021, there have been 181 million reported cases globally and up to 2 to 4 million reported deaths. What we know from this is that it is mostly unvaccinated persons. So what does that really mean? It means that the virus can still be spread through children, obviously, because they're not vaccinated. But again, now we're seeing a Delta variant, which is much more aggressive. It is much more transmissible. And now that's why we're seeing it being impacted in this population and being reported that more admissions, ICU admissions, and possibly deaths with children. This has changed the game so much more than what we saw last year. But that, again, is because now we're dealing with variants. And so with the importance of the vaccine being passed, we still need more of the community being vaccinated in order to protect the greater good, including children.
So, Jessica, you're not just the Chief Medical Officer of Verywell Health, you're also a trained OBGYN. And so, we've talked a lot about the vaccine and telling women who are pregnant that the vaccine is safe for them to use. We haven't spent a lot of time talking about how dangerous COVID is. Bloomberg is reporting that as of August 14th, about 76% of pregnant women were unvaccinated. I couldn't believe that statistic. As an OBGYN, what concerns you the most about this? Because that Bloomberg report also had some really concerning statistics about how vulnerable pregnant women are to this virus.
I think you used the perfect word there, vulnerable. This is such a vulnerable population because when we think of pregnancy or those who are recently postpartum and are lactating, there seems to change the perception, again, of who they're trying to protect. Now, this is not only themselves, but now either an unborn child or a newborn. And that changes the game. What we have seen in this community is that there is a lot of differing opinions, even amongst healthcare providers who may not strongly advise their pregnant patients to get the vaccine. And this is where we still need to keep that messaging of the importance of the vaccine in those who are pregnant, those who are lactating, and even those who are deciding to get pregnant. And that is so important because what we do know in pregnancy is that if you do have COVID-19, your likelihood of being intubated, admitted to the ICU, and even deaths, we are still seeing deaths now here in our own local hospital that I work at in Dallas of people dying who are pregnant. So if none other throughout this segment, we really want to speak to those pregnant women to, again, get vaccinated.
Indeed, it is not worth the risk. Dr. Jessica Shepard.